Hello guys, this is Mike from ICODROPS, and today my guests are Sergio and Alex from Phantasma Project. Hello Sergio, hello Alex.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to meet you guys. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your previous experience and how did you get in blockchain industry?
Before I go into the blockchain industry, I was a video game developer. And then around 1 year from now, I started joining the crypto industry. I started learning about smart contracts. And later I found about Neo. And that's where I joined the industry because for video games, I used to use C Sharp, and that's the main language used for Neo too. So that's the connection that allowed me to get into the blockchain, and then I started learning about everything a bit more. I joined the city of Zion, and from there we ended on Phantasma now.
Yeah, and me, I have a background in marketing and management, and Sergio introduced me to the wonderful world of blockchain and cryptocurrencies back in the beginning of 2017. It's like an eternity in crypto.
So you guys are friends in real life, actually, yes? That's great. As I know, you are from Portugal.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Portugal, Lisbon.
My sensations with Portugal are rich history, great climate, good wines, big wave surfing, and superstar football players.
Yes.
Blockchain and crypto were not on the list until I discovered Phantasma Protocol. Could you tell us more about Portugal crypto community, and are there some interesting projects you could recommend to look at?
The community in Portugal is pretty small, but it has been growing up until this point. And there have been some projects in the past that I have released. For one of the examples was AppCoins, which was from a company who was creating called Aptoid, who created Google Play App Store, and then they released the coin. I think it was in the end of last year. It had success. It was successful. Not as much interest and as much hype as Phantasma does. But yes, I think that now from the success we're having, I think the community is extra motivated, and some great new projects will come to fruition in Portugal. And I don't know if you know, but Web Summit has been here for the past 2 years, and it has one more year. Or two, I'm not sure. So Portugal and Lisbon is becoming the center of Europe in terms of entrepreneurship and technology and projects.
You're the guys that helped bring. In the last month, Neo was doing a European tour, and they go to lots of different cities in Europe. They started in Amsterdam, and we helped organize the event in Lisbon. And it was actually a big success because the room was full. Almost 100 persons ago. We have to get more shares to everyone. It was unexpected. So there's lots of crypto funds in Portugal too.
To my mind, the story of Phantasma is an example of a perfect storm in ICO space. I can hardly remember some other project that gained so much attention from the crypto community in such a short period of time. Now you can confess, guys, was it a happy coincidence, or did you have a plan for conquering the world right from the start?
No, we didn't have a plan for conquering the world. I think it was a coincidence, but we had the right platforms and communities in order to share the concept of Phantasma, which is completely revolutionary. And so you only need for some people to understand what this can do, so that they start spreading the word. But yes, it was 15 days, and like we released in yesterday's post, we went from 400 people in the Telegram group, to 22,000 in 15 days, completely organically. So we did not spend any amount of money in marketing.
That's the best type of marketing, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And actually, many people don't understand, but our project was already presented on NeoDevCon around in January, and our whitelist was open already for at least 2 months. But when this big interest appeared in just one day, we closed the whitelist in the same day. And many people were quite angry because they think that we closed everything in just the same day. But no, it was because we had to close it too many persons already inside.
Yeah, it was getting out of control. We weren't in our computers, and as soon as Sergio got to his computer, he called me and said, Alex, this is getting out of control. We have too many whitelists. I have to shut it down.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic Phantasma.
Yes. Speaking about Phantasma, I really like your logo. I think it's cool and funny. But at the same time, it might be a little misleading because people might think that Phantasma is an email dApp, while actually it is something of much bigger scale. Could you please tell us how did you come up with the idea of Phantasma? How did it all begin, and what is Phantasma in a nutshell?
The name Phantasma and the logo were created exactly at the same time. We were thinking, we made a big list of potential names. We are thinking names related to privacy. So in kind of Phantasma, it's the Portuguese word for, and also Greek word for ghost. I think in English it is also a word. Actually, Phantasma started as a dApp for emails, but later on we decided we should not just do a dApp. Let's make a platform and make the email the first step on this platform, because that will be more interesting for everyone. And yeah, and the logo, it's a bit misleading because what we say, it's a message, but some people can look and think it's an email. But right now, we really don't want to change the logo yet because many people love the logo.
Can you tell the story about the competition you've participated? I mean, the competition of City of Zion.
Yeah, it was the first competition. City of Zion wanted to bring more developers to Neo, so that's the main reason for starting the competition. And for example, Switch.io, which is the first decentralized Neo exchange, also was one of the winners there. In my case, I started the project alone. Later on, I expanded the team. When I was one of the winners, because the Neo team asked everyone that want to continue the project, making something good from it. So, and we received some funding from there, which allowed us to start putting more people on the team. It was a very interesting experience, and with that help from Neo, from City of Zion, it was how the project was born.
So you started with email, and now you have pretty ambitious plans. Let's discuss your roadmap. At what stage is the project right now, and what are your plans for the future?
Right now, we have, like we said in our white paper, we decided to have two main teams. So one team is the one working in the apps, and the other is working in the actual platform. So one of our teams is doing an MVP, which is the email app. That one is practically finished. We're going to release it maybe tomorrow or after tomorrow, because we want to have it ready before the public sale. So the other team is the one where I'm working along with the other co-founder, Miguel, and it's a team that is doing the more low technical part, like the blockchain stuff. We have a prototype of our own blockchain already. So in the end, we are going to connect everything. So like we said in the roadmap, we are going to start first with a new smart contract and the app that uses that smart contract, and later on we'll start releasing more components that are already in development but still not finished yet. And also, once we finish the components, we're going to put it, because right now it's still private on GitHub. That's also a question that many people said. And they check our code and they just see our email app, because that's the only thing public now. But in reality, we have lots of things already there, just internal for our team.
Could you share your vision of Phantasma in 3-5 years? What place in the whole blockchain ecosystem are you going to take?
When we created Phantasma, we took into account one very specific thing. There's no such thing as a free content distribution platform. And the recent events provided painful reminders of a lack of altruism in the industry. And basically, there's one main thing. If you're not the customer, you're the product. And with Phantasma, that's what we're trying to solve. We're trying to build a platform in which users will be able to finally control their data totally, securely, and transparently. So like you said, it's not only for email, it's for several different things. But in our roadmap and with our teams, we are doing a very specific thing, usually different from normal projects. We are taking the approach, the same approach as Neo. So in the beginning, our main focus is to grow the community of developers. So the dApps that we are going to release, each one is related to one component of the Phantasma blockchain. Each dApp will function to teach developers how to use that component and how to develop different types of applications with it. Because we are not here to build the next YouTube, but perhaps a group of developers eventually can create the next YouTube, the next Slack, the next email platform.
You're aiming at creating some kind of toolkit and ecosystem for developers to make whatever they can imagine.
Yes, well, it's much better for a network of people in the entire world to come up with new projects and new ideas and features for those products than just a team of 10, 20, 30 people. It's always going to be better.
I think it's great advance of decentralized approach.
Yes.
And what is your strategy for attracting those developers and maybe users for the products made by these developers?
There are 3 stages in our roadmap, and this is not only the technical part. The first stage is we're going and creating those relationships with the developers in their communities. So, for example, for the next year, we are going to be traveling to places and to meetups and conferences, and we're not only going to be there for 1 or 2 days, pop in and pop out. That's not going to be what we're doing. We're staying in each place for 1 to 2 weeks and really get in touch and build those relationships with the developers in the communities. That is the first stage. We are going to create a community. We are creating a community of developers, and we are saying the name today for the first time. It's going to be the Phantom Force. So kind of like City of Zion, but it's called the Phantom Force for Phantasma. So that's the first stage. The second stage is to get content creators. So in any platform, if you are distributing content, for example, in the email dApps, you would have people that use newsletters, for example, to move on to the Phantasma platform and start using the Phantasma dApps to deliver those informations. Then in the digital e-commerce, you have, for example, content creators of digital online courses that can start putting their digital online courses in the dApps of Phantasma at much lower fees, and they will be much more profitable because it's the blockchain and everything's cheaper, basically. And also for video content streaming is the last step, and that step has to really be the last step, because at that stage we need to have our own blockchain, which is it's expected for us to release in the beginning of 2018. But then it needs to have a lot of users in the platform in order to allow for content streaming of video, which is the hardest part and the most demanding. And finally, grabbing the users to those applications. So basically, we're empowering developers to create their own companies and create their own applications, and then they could start. We're working with them to get creators in their applications and get users to the applications.
What is the reason for creating your own blockchain? Were you thinking about partnering with some existing products or maybe with some development blockchains?
Right now, the main decision was because some of the features that we want to use don't exist in existing blockchains. For example, for storage right now, if you want to have a app that needs to use, for example, storage for files, you have to take, for example, Ethereum and then mix it with another project. And that creates a limitation that you have to have something off-chain. So it introduces a point of the app that is not decentralized. That's the main problem. So we want to have a blockchain where the smart contracts themselves can have access to the storage, so everything can be decentralized. That's our main goal for having our own blockchain. And also because NEO itself is encouraging every project in the NEO ecosystem to split into our own blockchain and then connect with NEO with NEOX protocol. That is something that we are also going to explore.
Earlier this year, I was interviewing Michael Yegorov, who is the CTO of NuCypher. and he is also advising Bluezell. And you have Neeraj Murarka, the CTO of Bluezell, as advisor. At the same time, while preparing for the interview, I've seen some comparisons of Phantasma and NuCypher. Are you communicating with NuCypher, and do you think of NuCypher as a competitor in certain sense?
We are not contacting with them. We might later, but the thing is, there are some similarities between the two projects, but also we can compare Phantasma with lots of different projects. But in the end, there is not a single project that has all the features, and some, for example, focus more in communication or message distribution. In our case, I think we are the only ones that have a smart contract platform with storage combined. That's the main difference point from everything else.
Speaking about competitors, are there some existing or developing projects that might be competitors for you?
We can say, for example, we have a list of names. I'm not going to go to every name because it'll be big lists. You have
you can name 3-5 projects.
Yeah, the smallest, the more similar, for example, will be you have the Scramble network, you have Mainframe. Those do some kind of message distribution, and they also have email. In some, for example, Mainframe is planning to do email too. And you have Telegram, which is one ECO that raised, I think, 1 billion. And they do have lots of similarities. They don't have, for example, the smart contracts, I think, but that can be called a competitor too. Besides that, you have the storage platforms like Coin, but those I not can call those direct competition. In especially because we cannot even with Bluezell, for example, we are thinking of having partnership with them in order to have. Because one specific thing about Bluezell, for example, it's like database for smart contracts. So you can write data in Ethereum and then read that data back on another chain like Neo or Phantasma chain later. So that's for the projects that are focused on storage. We are trying to make some kind of partnership with them because it'll be very interesting.
And as soon as you've mentioned partnerships, are you planning some partnerships? Can you reveal some information on this?
I think right now we can't reveal anything yet. It's secrets for now.
Could you please tell about Phantasma team? Who are the people behind the project?
Okay, besides me and Alex, so we have another co-founder that is Miguel. He's also a guy that he did a master degree on computer science and is quite a very experienced programmer too. And then we have Bruno, which is another guy from City of Zion that is also Portuguese. Actually, I met him just because he was in City of Zion. I did not know him before, but I checked his code and he's quite a good programmer too. And then we have also Bernardo, a programmer, and we have more guys in our team. Those guys are not exactly persons famous in the blockchain community, but are persons that we know for many years and we trust.
One of our ideas and our goals is for the core teams, we're growing the global network of developers. The core team for Phantasma, we want to have it as most Portuguese as possible and as close tight as possible to be easier to communicate and people who we trust and for us to be able to develop the platform way more easily. Because the other part of Phantasma is that community of developers and that network all over the world. So it wouldn't make sense to juggle two international teams at the same time.
Could you give more details on your advisors? In your case, I think it's really important.
We have been announcing new advisors and we're going to keep announcing new advisors. We have 2 more in line. Besides Neeraj, Gordon Hall, and Fernando from Neo.
Fernando is one of our latest advisors, founder of Red4Sec, which is the company that did the audit of the codes of the new blockchain. Also, they worked with lots of other projects in the new ecosystem. They also did an audit of our smart contract. Very useful, and they are going to be also help us later with our code for dApps and for blockchain. They're going to help
So they have been doing the audit for the smart contract because there are a few people in the world who audit Neo smart contracts. For Ethereum, there are plenty, but we wanted to get the best one. So we brought him in as an advisor for him to do the audit of the contract. That's the main thing. The second thing is Etienne. Etienne is the business developer in Europe for OneChain and more recently GoChain as well. What he's going to allow us to do is to have access to his vast network. So he's a very experienced business developer in terms of events, meetups, and all of that. He has all of the contents and contacts and all of the network, and he's going to allow us to be very good at that side, in the side of building the community and growing the community over time.
Returning to your plans to create your own blockchain, do you already have some ideas on solving the scalability problem, which is extremely important for mass adoption?
Yeah, actually, one detail that we talked, our white paper is actually quite long, it's 40 pages, but there is one important detail that we don't have there is what is the consensus method that we are going to use in the blockchain. This is part that is me and Miguel are still doing lots of internal R&D about it and to decide, because in case of we are not trying to follow the same consensus method in NEO, for example, because right now even the guys from NEO are trying doing some improvements on it, and our blockchain that we have now is currently using proof of work, but that's probably going to be temporary for now. So later on, we are going to do some announcements once you have finally achieved. So we're not, for example, saying that we're going to have 1 million TPS or something like that, because we don't want to promise numbers yet. It's too soon to speak about it.
Yes, when we announce things, we announce it definitely. So it's better for everyone to wait, and when they get the information, it's the one that's correct, and we do not want to be changing things all of the time.
Speaking about the token sale, can you give the latest updates on metrics, dates, and process?
Yeah. So yesterday we released a Medium article indicating all of the metrics for the public sale. In our case, we're going to have the public sale. It's going to start on the beginning of the 23rd at 00 UTC for the public sale, and it's going to be 2 stages. The first stage is going to have an individual cap for each person that's in the whitelist. So only whitelisted people can participate. For each person in the whitelist, they're going to have an individual cap of 10 NEO. And the total cap in USD for the public sale is roughly $2.9 million. Up until now, we have said that it was 70% for the pre-sale and 30% for the public sale. But one of the things that we did that also projects have not been taking into account and has been generating some controversy was that we have applied a changing rate for the private sale. So up until now, the rate was not fixed. It was fixed at the same time for the public and for the pre-sale with the same rules. So the rate that was used for the pre-sale was Ethereum at $705, and for NEO it's $62, which results in the public sale being $2,905,000. I could say the number of tokens, but I would be saying so it's 12,633,75 sold tokens. But we know, so we did this in order for everything to work out in terms of token metrics with NEO, because NEO is not divisible, as you know, and so we had to do it like this in order for it to run smoothly. But basically, one of the important things is that if for each NEO that you contribute to the public sale, you will get 273 sold tokens in return.
So there are a couple of days before the ICO, and could you please tell your plans after the ICO? What are the main milestones for this year?
The main milestones for this year, we're going to be releasing the SDK for developers later in around August, September. And also we're preparing to launch the main testnet in the end of the year, and also later in the beginning of 2019 to launch the mainnet of the Phantasma blockchain. And we're going to be starting to have our life on the road, basically, because we're going to be, the most important part is to grow that community of developers. It's one of the things that we want to be very clear, is that we're not here to build the next YouTube. We're here to provide you with the tools to eventually build the next YouTube, or the next email, or the next Slack, or Udemy, for example.
Let's assume I'm a developer. How can I join the Phantasma community, the Phantasma family? What should I do?
You can start contacting with me or Sergio. We're always answering to everyone, even though we have 200 PMs at the time, but we always answer to everyone. And afterwards, after the ICO, we're going to be building a proper and structured network, a way of doing the network of developers, much like City of Zion.
So are you planning some kind of special events or maybe some kind of incentives for developers?
Yeah, right now we are also planning to have some development competitions, exactly like the one that started Phantasma, because we think that that kind of stuff is what brings developers to the platform. So in our marketing budget, we are keeping a percentage of tokens just for that. So competitions and any kind of activity that can help bring developers, incentives for developers. That's very important to have.
It's in the part of the total supply token for platform development and growth.
Are there any questions I didn't ask but you want to answer? Something you want to speak about but didn't have a chance to?
The 5 main components that we'll be releasing are going to allow 5 different types of applications and for users to build 5 different types of features. So we can go very quick about it because we don't have many interviews in the internet with that so far. We have 1 or 2. But Sergio will explain the technical part and I'll explain the use case for each one. So the first one, email, which is the first component.
Email is not actually component. The actual component is the new smart contract, and email is one kind of application that you can do with that. It's our inbox and outbox system that is explained in our white paper. It's a bit too long to explain now, so I'm not going to say the details. But we are going to do email as an example of that.
Yeah, but in this case, for example, email, you already have email platforms from peer-to-peer, from one person to the other, so that would not be innovative. The innovation and the big disruption that would happen in this case would be, for example, for newsletters. So in our case, the people who are distributing the newsletters only need to pay SOL tokens to open the smart contract and store the data, and then they can give access to how many emails they want. So it's very different from today's platforms, where you have 1,000 emails, you're paying a subscription of, for example, let's say $50, and then if you have 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, you're going to be paying more for the amount of emails. So in this case, that doesn't happen. You can give access to the email to how many people you want. The second case is oracles and databases and data feeds.
And we are going to use that as an example for our SDK. But when you release the SDK, it will be necessary to have some example projects that are going to be open source, so everyone developer can go and start looking. We choose oracles because it's small use case that is easy to implement and can be very easy to learn how to use the system.
Yes, but in this case, for example, people want to show data feeds both for free or maybe be aggregating data and selling it to other people. That would be the use case for oracles and databases in Phantasma. The third one is chat.
Yeah, one question that we get asked a lot is if a blockchain is fast enough for some kinds of applications, for example, for chat. Since, for example, in Ethereum, block sizes are quite long, and you have a bit short block times, 50 seconds, but it's still not fast enough for chat, because you can't send a message and wait 50 seconds for an answer. So for that, our platform is going to have off-chain message distribution for messages that don't need to be stored in the blockchain, but they are still going to be signed with private keys, so you can be sure that who sent them. And for that, we are going to use chat as an example. So it's also going to be a DApp that our DApp team is going to do later.
Yes, and in this case, the main advantage of this is that each developer or each company or each person can develop their own chat application with the specific features they need in their specific case. Then next is digital commerce.
Later on, is when we are planning to release the actual storage part of the blockchain. So for that, you can store files, and for example, you can sell those files for other persons. So our idea is to have an application adapt that will work as an online store. Yes. For digital content like music or video games, for example.
So any type of digital content that can be sold online. Usually platforms like this that are present nowadays, they take a big cut out of the revenue, 30%. With Phantasma is much lower and is allowing for those product creators to bring in way more revenue. Finally is video streaming.
And video streaming is the most performance intensive part. It's not some person asked why are we doing video streaming. We are not doing specific video streaming. It's just our system is going to be for storage, and video is just another case of storage. So once you have enough nodes running the network and enough space for storage, because the space of storage is going to increase as more people join Phantasma, then you are going to have a very small application that's going to be an example for auto-distributed video in Phantasma. Yeah, of course, like Alex said, we're not going to do YouTube. It's more like an example, very simple. And if someone wants to build on top of that and make something really serious, they can take our code because it's going to be open source and expand it.
Yes, and for example, another case that we could show would be the mixture between video and the digital commerce, which is the one that I've already talked about, the online video courses that can be sold and watched in the Phantasma dApps. And one extra thing is that so to deploy smart contracts and to store the data, you are going to use SOL tokens, but users can use the dApps for free because when they enter into the network, they allocate a part of their storage from their device to the network, and that allocation allows them to receive a continuous amount of SOL tokens in a specific period of time. So every day or every week, they can receive SOL tokens, and with that, they can do most of the functionalities within the dApps that are present in the Phantasma platform.
Yeah, because one important thing to bring mainstream persons to the blockchain is persons can just go to an exchange and buy tokens using the app, and that's a big problem right now. So when we created Phantasma, we think we need a way for persons to just run an app, and they don't need to buy tokens. Tokens are generated in the background, and to do this, it's like I said, the user are going to share a part of the storage, and in exchange for that, they receive tokens. That's going to be transparent for the users. The advanced users can know that, and they can, for example, check their balance on their wallets. But the other users, they just use the data, don't need to care about that. It's very important.
It can be in the background. They don't need to know that they're paying a specific amount of SOL tokens to create a smart contract or to send an email, because that's not user friendly. That's not what we want in the end. We're gonna allow for people to understand and see what they are spending, but for the most and the common user, that's not the main goal.
In the end of the interview, guys, is there something you want to tell or to wish to ICODROPS community?
We are extremely grateful for the overwhelming interest that the community has shown on the Phantasma project, and we hope that we can build the best content distribution platform out there for everyone. So I'm going to end it with the battle cry. So fantastic Phantasma.
I'm also going to say, if anyone from ICODROPS community is a developer and has some ideas for developing a Phantasma, they can go and talk with us, and we can discuss that in further detail.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Sergio, for being with us. It was a great pleasure to chat with you. I want to wish good luck to Phantasma from all the ICODROPS team. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell button, and you will never miss next video. Have a nice day and goodbye.
Bye.